All right. Well, here's an interesting story, and I'm sure you may have heard about this. I know you recall when Matt Taibbi was testifying in front of the House Judiciary Committee about a week and a half or so ago, right? Mm-hmm. You remember that? You know what happened that day as well?
I sure do.
Well, if you don't, I'll tell you. Turns out Mr. Taibbi got a special visit from an IRS agent who visited his home that day. Interesting enough, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan has demanded that the Department of Treasury and the IRS account for the incident that he considers it possible witness intimidation in which, as I mentioned, the IRS agent visited the home of journalist Matt Taibbi. This coming from John Solomon's Just the News. In light of the hostile reaction to Mr. Taibbi's reporting among left-wing activists and the IRS history as a tool of government abuse, the IRS action could be interpreted as an attempt to intimidate a witness before Congress, Jordan wrote to IRS Commissioner Daniel Werfel and Janet Yellen. Taibbi testified, of course, before the Select Committee on the weaponization of the federal government, which is really ironic because the IRS is an extension of that federal government. He was subsequently released his findings as part of the Twitter files during his reporting and has largely pointed to communications between federal officials and social media executives in which the former flag post they considered objectionable for removal by the platform. While Taibbi was away from his New Jersey home, however, an IRS agent left a note asking that he contact the agency. Jordan recounts the episode in which the IRS claims it had rejected Taibbi's 2018 and 2021 tax filings due to identity theft concerns. Years after the fact, Taibbi contends he has never received any concerns from the IRS until the day he testified. The circumstances surrounding the IRS's unannounced and unpromptu visit to Mr. Taibbi's home at the exact time he was testifying to Congress about the most serious government abuse he has witnessed in his career is incredible, Jordan wrote. He demanded that the Treasury and IRS hand over all documents surrounding the IRS field visit to Taibbi's house and any communications or documents involving him in general. This suggestion of witness intimidation by a federal agency comes as Jordan and other House Republicans ramp up their investigations into the federal government's alleged misuse of power for political purposes. And I think this is exactly what that is. I mean, we all know how the IRS operates, right? We tell our parents, hey, don't fall for the scam. I've had to say this to my mom. An IRS agent will never call your house. They only use the mail. And I have to remind her of it every year or so because they forget and they might get sucked in by somebody sweet talking them on the phone. Hey, just give me your social security number. I'll look something up for you. We'll take care of this over the phone. I hear about the scams where they say, oh, you know what? Buy some gift cards and we'll settle it that way. The IRS, Rick is laughing, but I've read these stories and it's amazing. Really? I even know someone who had whose mom lost over $1,000 to one of these. They do not contact you personally. They send a letter.
Always.
They always send a letter.
Always.
And then when you respond to that letter, you get another letter. It's a paper trail. This fact that they call you on the phone is one thing. The fact that this IRS agent showed up at the house, that is what you would call, I believe, government intimidation. I don't know about you, but I've seen it in movies. I think that's what it looks like.
I mean, the exact day?
Yeah.
At the exact time?
Yeah.
Of all of the years and days and times and everything to have some kind of issue, like you said, an issue to the point where they would show up, and they show up the day he's testifying. And does anyone think this is anything other than that? How would you justify this being anything other than exactly that?
Yeah.
Coincidence? Please.
No such thing.
No such thing.
Not in this case. And according to this Wall Street Journal opinion piece, Mr. Taibbi provided the committee with documentation from his 2018 return that had been electronically accepted and says the IRS never notified him or his accountants of any problem after his 2018 return filed more than 4.5 years ago. So the fact that this agent shows up and says, hey, it's about this and this. Here's my number. Call you in 4 days. Why wait 4 days?
Also from that piece, he says the IRS originally rejected his 2021 return, which he later refiled, and it was rejected again, even though Mr. Tybee says his accountants refiled it with an IRS-provided PIN number. Mr. Tybee notes that in neither case was the issue monetary, and that the IRS owes him actually a considerable sum.
Now, maybe, you know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe the IRS agent was showing up to bring over that considerable sum in cash.
Well, that's the big question that the Wall Street Journal asked next. The bigger question here is, when did the IRS start to dispatch agents for surprise house calls? That's the money question.
Yeah.
When did that start? Oh, it started when we found out you were testifying in front of Congress. That's when it started.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, the weaponization of government. I think Jim Jordan's committee is on to something.